Brought to you by...
Often in horror short filmmaking, we centralize our focus on the terror experienced by the one, isolating ourselves to the narrow perspective of a single character, rather than the fears encompassed by the collective of the world. It makes for a much simpler creative process, and leads us deeper into the realm of the unconscious mind, allowing us to explore the character deeper than we would be able to in a larger mass context. These are the types of short experiences that we are playing with today. Hello friends, and welcome back for some more bite-sized reviews here on ETF. This week I wanted to take a look at a new little obscure experience brought to us by local director Jeremy Arruda, who brings us the nightmarish tale of a little boy named Sam, who writes his name for the first time. A strange darkness takes hold of his family's home, and Sam senses a presence that dwells within his brother. Once again, presenting us a strange little terror tale in his black and white Lynchian style, Jeremy Joseph Arruda introduces us to Sam, a strange little monster that came out of quarantine, as Jeremy was isolated from the world and left alone with his own imagination, to explore the depths of his own madness and creativity. Jeremy took on every role in the film, from cinematographer to puppeteer. This will be his third film made after his sophomore film, The Stranger. The noises made by Sam throughout the film are horrific in nature, made up from the altered sounds of animals and livestock, to create an animalistic voice for our strange little creature. The choice of black and white not only continues Jeremy's style, but brings a high contrast to the dark and uncomfortable visual experience, steeping us in deep shadows and a haunting score that looms over the piece like a malevolent presence. Though this film is extremely short, coming in at just under 2 minutes, it delivers heavily on a haunting atmosphere and lingers long after viewing, leaving a lasting effect on your mind. The concept reminds me of another oddity here on YouTube known as Alan on a channel by the name of Daisy Brown, which I will link below for those interested in checking it out. The most haunting thing about Jeremy's little experiment here is the idea that he mentions our little Sam having a brother, before drawing us in toward an old dog kennel, shrouded in shadow, leaving us dangling on the edge as we speculate, based on what we have seen of little Sam, what horrid beast could be lurking deep within. I love these strange and obscure ideas that Jeremy has been playing with throughout his films so far, and I am always excited to see what he has in store for us next. I'm giving Sam an A-. Not all isolated stories tend to play as creatively as this one, however. Some choose to keep things simpler and use what they have at their disposal to weave narratives that just tell something far more tame. This is the case in our next short today, as we are introduced to Jack. Captured in an extremely flat and locked-down camera style that looks to have been shot in a high frame rate of at least 30 frames per second or more, I don't have much background information for this one to go off of, but to me this felt like a quarantine film, created to pass the time in isolation. It features a performance with no dialogue, and like many others that came before, centers around a single protagonist as she is left alone at home, stalked by a strange and ominous entity. The sound seems to have been captured solely in camera. I will admit that the creepy face peeking through the cracks in the doorway and the quick rushing disembodied footsteps racing toward the room were unsettling. The film overall, unfortunately, has a very amateur feeling to it, and even just shooting in 24 frames per second would have helped that. The entity in this film is sadly nothing more than a black suit and cheap Halloween mask, that is shown in far too great of detail during the final moments of the film. This choice doesn't leave us with much to fear or even be unsettled by. I'm giving Jack a D+. Thankfully, more effort and talent is put into our last film of the day as we are introduced to Emma, a young girl who very quickly learns not to wave at strangers. This one is gorgeously shot with a soft yet crisp color palette and a smoothly handheld style. The lighting is precise and the editing is clean and builds the tension and dread that our protagonist is no doubt experiencing. The choice was made to keep that ominous and eerie waving figure out of focus the majority of the time, distancing the entity from us and masking it in this vague and unnatural shape, almost separating it from the natural world. In some ways, this film felt to me like some kind of a cross between an Insidious film and something out of the 90s. The score featured a very Insidious strings composition, and the entity's strange wave was reminiscent of the Man in the Walls from Insidious Chapter 3. Personally, I enjoyed this one quite a bit. It delivered on an eerie vibe well, and its shooting style left a strong impression that has definitely inspired me. I'm giving Emma an A. I like that filmmakers are still attempting to do things on a smaller scale, keeping them unique in their own small ways. It's always inspiring to see someone take an idea that we've seen used before and shine a new light on it. This past quarantine period has shown me that people are still managing to be creative even when so limited by the world around them. I hope this trend continues, and I hope that the time in isolation has shown a lot of you just how creative you can be. Before we wrap up, I have to ask, how many times have those of you fellow creators been putting together your projects and realized that you just don't have the right music to accompany it? Or any music at all, for that matter? Well, that wouldn't be a problem if you subscribe to Epidemic Sound. At Epidemic Sound, you can get yourself access to one of the largest online royalty-free music libraries that exist out there. With over 32,000 tracks from world-class composers, artists, and bands in a massive variety of genres, over 60,000 sound effects, unlimited downloads in use, and all rights covered, all for only $15 a month. For smaller content creators like myself, or those aspiring to get started on the platform, there is honestly no better option for music for your projects in my opinion. And if you sign up now using the link down in the description, you can get yourself 30 days access to this incredibly vast library absolutely free. So click that link below and elevate your audio with Epidemic Sound. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider supporting ETF on Patreon. You don't have to give a lot, every little bit helps this channel grow and helps us bring you new content to enjoy. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you aren't already. Click that bell icon to be notified on all our future videos, and I will catch you all next time. Thanks for watching.